The grand tariff circus started by President Trump has been making headlines for years, drawing sharp criticism from not only the nations exporting goods to the U.S., but also from within the country itself. Most recently, a major development has come from the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, where a ruling has put a spotlight on President Trump's authority to impose tariffs on imports. In a 7-4 vote, the court ruled that the tariffs imposed by President Trump under emergency economic powers are invalid and contrary to U.S. law. The court's decision has raised serious questions about how tariffs are enforced in the U.S., and what this means for trade relations moving forward. This ruling could have far-reaching effects, especially on the reciprocal tariffs that have been slapped on countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. It might even change the entire direction of U.S. foreign policy under the Trump administration, sparking a new legal showdown across the nation. The lawsuit, filed in April 2025, was brought by a small business and a coalition of states challenging Trump's executive order that imposed reciprocal tariffs on a dozen countries. But there's a catch: the ruling won't take effect until October 14, giving the administration time to bring the case before the Supreme Court. The court's opinion focused on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEA, which it ruled does not give the president the authority to impose tariffs. Instead, it's a congressional responsibility. Essentially, the president's move was seen as overstepping the bounds of his executive powers. Unsurprisingly, the Trump administration quickly criticized the ruling, warning that if the court's decision stands, the U.S. could fall into a trade depression, wreaking havoc on the national economy. The president's approach to using the IEEA is a clear example of manipulating the law to suit his agenda. Journalist Fareed Zakaria pointed out how President Trump declared a national emergency over the trade deficit, giving him the ability to push through tariffs without congressional approval.
This month, when President Donald Trump imposed tariffs on the world, he didn't just frame it as a smart economic reset, he called it a national emergency. Similarly, in January, Trump sought funding for securing the southern border by declaring a national emergency. And for a way to boost fossil fuel production, you guessed it, a national energy emergency. So far, Trump has declared 8 national emergencies in his first 100 days, more than any other president. That's according to the Brennan Center for Justice.
Forced in the U.S., and what this means for trade relations moving forward. This ruling could have far-reaching effects, especially on the reciprocal tariffs that have been slapped on countries like China, Mexico, and Canada. It might even change the entire direction of U.S. foreign policy under the Trump administration, sparking a new legal showdown across the nation. While President Trump's reasoning for imposing tariffs is to reduce the trade deficit by making imported goods more expensive, economists argue this is a flawed strategy. Instead of discouraging imports, nations usually focus on increasing exports by making their products more competitive globally. Experts argue that by imposing tariffs, the U.S. is actually hurting consumers and the economy, taking away access to affordable goods, and potentially stalling growth. The debate continues: does President Trump's approach align with sound economic principles, or is it a misguided attempt to address a complex issue? As the court's decision looms, only time will tell who is right, and what the future holds for U.S. trade policy under President Trump. What do you think? Is President Trump's tariff strategy a good way to deal with trade imbalances, or will it hurt the economy in the long run? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.